The name Rusi is the more of the recent date. Any older form of this name is Rasi or Rashani. The Russians call themselves Rassia. In Eastern Europe and especially in Asia, the Rasi are called Rossi, which give the old name Rossolani or Roxolani. Rasi is one of the names for Serbs, and it is a faithful companion of the Serbian name in many places. In Rodania, near the Pyrenees, in Serbian land, the capital was called Rasion, which is known from later times as Rusilon, and that area is named after him. Immigrants from Judea in Italy are called Raseni, Rashni or Rashna, which seems like some other tribal name within Serbian. In Serbia there is an important province called Raška with the capital Ras. The name Ras and Rasi comes from the name of the goddess of the land, Rasa or Reasa, who was especially an agricultural part of the population. Unlike the worshippers of the goddess Reasa, the worshippers of the god Serbon were primarily warriors, rulers, and clergy, that is, those who called themselves by the common name Geti. Remains of such a state from ancient times can be found in medieval Russia. The Russian historian Veltman, in work Attila and the Russian, says, "In Belarus the word Syarb or Serb, Sarb, means strange, plurality and multitude of great people of the same blood and of the same language. In Great Russia it means healthy, heroic and strong layer of people. In Malorus the name Serbin indicates dominion. Turks usually call Serbs Rash, and in some parts of Turkey the Serbian name has very similar meaning as in Belarus." Cyprian Roberts believes that the name Serbi originally marked armed people among the Slavs. The statements of Frankis Apennini agree with this when Lukovic states, "According to Hirkansky, the Kiraksi, Hyksos, the most warlike people who ruled Egypt and Syria for a long time under the name of Serbs, are located in the sea, Caspian Sea. The Russian name spread as the name of the people first in the south, in the modern Ukraine, that is, in distinctly agricultural areas. 3 younger brothers of the Serbian Emperor Selimir, Lech, Czech and Rastko ruled in 3 countries in the middle of the 6th century. They left their names to those countries. Lech can be said to have ruled in a country later known as Poland, because the Poles were also called Lechim. The Czech ruled in country of Bozen, and they were named Czech after him. Rastko's country had to be modern Ukraine, where the Rasi name was first established. It could not have been otherwise, since the name Rasi did not gain an advantage over the Serbian name anywhere, regardless of the distinct agricultural population in these areas. The Rasi name became a common name after Rastko and from him. Creating a new state, Rurik took the name for that state which already existed as a state name. He thus appears as Rastko's successor. Otherwise, Rurik would not take the Russian name for his state, a name that was known far to the south, but would take the name of the Novgorod Slavs, or even call it Varesh state. As for the name Rasi, it is in fact the co-name of the name Geja. This name also came into being after one of the names of the goddess of the land, Gaia, which the Greeks pronounced as Gaea. The ancient Romans preserved a purely Serbian saying in a famous slogan, "Ubite divus ego Gaia." Where are you, divus? I am Gaia. The Russian name, as the name of the people and the state, will finally be established in 9th century, in time of Rurik. Before coming to the position of the ruler in Russia, Rurik was a warlord. The Varyags were not a special people, but professional soldiers, organized into war companies. They served as a garrison of the cities and fortresses, after which they got their name, Varezi. They were in the service of Byzantium and perhaps mostly in the cities on the Baltic Sea. This sea used to be called the Sarmatian Sea, and in the 9th century it was even called the Varesh Sea. There were Varegs of Russians, Swedes, Norwegians, Goths and English. Organized into warrior companies, the Varezes demanded a salary by offering their services and perhaps a tribute from certain cities, including Novgorod, which refused the request. There was some quarrel and friction among the Slavs from Novgorod because they could not agree on the question of the ruler's personality. That is why in 862 they invited Russian Varyags led by Rurik, who were somewhere in Pomerania, to come and bring order. The Varegs came to Novgorod, established order and appointed Rurik as a ruler. These Varezes gave the new state the name Russia. Drinov says that Rurik and his Varegs did not call themselves Slavs like those from Novgorod, but Russians. That should mean that they were originally from the southern regions, from Ukraine. Soloviev says that Russian history begins with Rurik. If that is already the case, then we can say that everything that happened in Russia until 862 belongs to Serbian history. One Russian chronicle says that Rurik built cities and chose people from the Slavs, from Chuda and from Vyatichi. Samuel Cross writes about the Ukrainians that as a tribe they are Ukrainians or Ruthenians. We also find the Ruthenian tribe in ancient Rodania, and the Ukrainians were not a tribe, since Kraina or Ukraina is purely geographical name for a border country, from the Serbian word kraj. Russian Prince Sviatoslav 964 to 972 reigned in Kiev from the age of 25. At the suggestion of his mother Olga to accept Christianity, Sviatoslav replied, "If I do that, my people will make fun of me." He came with one tem, 10,000, of his Varegs and occupied Bulgaria and its capital Preslav in 967. He had to return to Kiev to the following year because of the attack by Pecheneg. He was preparing to return to Mesia again and said to his mother, "I don't like Kiev. I want to live in Pereyaslavets, Preslav, on the Danube, because it is the center of my countries." The history of Poland begins at the same time as the history of Russia. From around 860, when Semovit became a prince. The center of his state was on the river Varta around Gniezno. The creation of the Polish state will be the century later. The Polish historian Bielowski, in his work Critical Introduction to the History of Poland, published in Lviv in 1857, claims that the Poles originated from Serbian tribes from Danube, from Trival and Dachan, who moved north before the Roman conquests. He said that all the old traditions of the Poles are also found among the Serbs on the Danube. Polish historians also write that Illyria was the cradle of the Slavic people, such as the Chronicle of Mierza and Vincent. In 6th century, the Odra and Wisla tribes were mentioned, Poljani, Wislani, and Pomeranians. And from these three tribes in Polish state was created, which will gather Greater Poland, Lesser Poland, Mazovia, Silesia, and Pomerania. These are all Serbian provinces and Serbian tribes from which the Polish nation was created. Czech history dates back to the first quarter of the 8th century, from the time of Przemysl. Soloviev says that the folklore among the Czechs knows about the migration of their tribe from the southern regions. A certain escort had to come with Czech Svevlad's son, because it was impossible to understand that he came there along with a small group. The Boy tribe, after whom the land of Boyka was named, was located in modern western Hungary and eastern Austria. From this area, part of that tribe went to Rodania and then to Italy. The Dachans pushed the Boyan tribe north to today's Bohemia and the Czech Republic. King Samo, he became king in 627 after he defeated the Avars and created his great state Serbia. Samuel Cross says that Sam's state consisted of the Czechs and Sorabs, north of the Danube. Of course, there were those in that country who were called Czechs, as well as those who were called Moravians, but they are still all Sorabs, so that country was called that.